Second chances for everything I've ever done. Bad romances.
Somebody recently, there was this whole thread on Twitter about how the White Album is like way darker than people give it credit for, of how it's just like, which made sense because I was thinking about Brian Epstein dying, and then they go to India and they are trying to like learn about themselves, and then they find out that the yogi was like a thief and kind of a crook.
Oh,
like
really?
A crooked guy, yeah. And the guy that was kind of helping lead their spiritual journey was not really an honest person. And so it's like, if you're in that stage of like coming out of the real hippie era, it's sort of like they kind of, I feel like we're ahead of the curve on the whole, the hippie thing turning into like burning out. You know what I mean?
Wow, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that there was like, they were getting hoodwinked.
Yeah.
When they went to, who did they visit? What was the name of that guy?
I don't totally remember. He was
the world famous sitar player.
No, that was that was Ravi Shankar. This was like a yogi guy.
Oh.
And he was kind of like their spiritual guide, and he was just kind of a fraud.
Dang, dude, that sucks. But kind of a flex to hoodwink the Beatles.
I mean, whom among us? Actually, I will say I was reading this book. I've been reading, kind of like slowly reading this book about the end of the Beatles and like Paul McCartney after, and they were not great at doing business.
The Beatles?
They were very bad businessmen.
I didn't know this.
Or spotty,
right,
at the time.
I mean, to be the forefront of all popular music,
sure,
I feel like you can get a couple losses in there, you know. But also, if you're the first one to do so much of what they did,
right,
it makes sense you're going to have
pioneering
some pitfalls.
A lot of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. But cool, Elijah, man, back for round 2. I'm excited to have you on the pod to talk about the new album. Yeah, round 2 already. But
yeah. Well, I was gonna say already getting distracted and totally off topic. Talking about the White Album.
That's just how it is. It'll probably happen 10 more times before the end of the episode.
Beautiful.
But yeah, last time you were on, I just had you on just to chat about everything you've done so far. But this time we actually got an intention that we've set. We're going to talk about the new album, Hometown Vampire, which comes out October 6th. As everybody is listening to it, listening to this right now, it is out. But currently, we're about, 2 days away from it being out?
Yep. 2 days.
2 days away. So how does it feel 2 days away, knowing that everybody's going to be able to hear the entire track list of this album that you've been working on for a while?
It feels good. It feels a little. It doesn't feel scary. Typically at this point, it feels a little frightening, but now it's just like a breath of. It's like a relief. It's also good for me because in my mind, I've been noticing this a lot about myself recently. I think that it's like I think that I'm thinking out loud. Like I think that people can hear my thoughts. And I sort of think, oh, people know what I'm talking about when I refer to like this song that is like a song I have made. And then I realize that people, like, it's not out and people don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm just like, oh, yeah. So it'll be nice to where I can kind of speak about what I'm doing and it not feel like a secret or not feel like it's hidden from people, you know?
It's almost like you're living in a different reality.
Absolutely.
Because nobody's heard these tunes that I'm assuming you've heard about a million times.
Yep.
Since its conception.
Yep. Probably. That's a good rough estimate. Yeah.
And this is correct me if I'm wrong, your first album that you're releasing via a label.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
With Strolling Bones.
Strolling Bones.
A partner, or what is the word?
Subsidiary
of New West Records.
Yes.
They're all amazing. I've gotten to meet them all at least once, and they're very sweet. So what's your relationship been with them? Having, like, for me, it would be very interesting having always released music independently, and then suddenly this whole different way of releasing music comes in. So what was that transition like, and how has it been working with Strolling Bones?
It's been really positive. I think it's definitely been a good like best of both worlds kind of scenario where the excitement of our friends and the kind of like rah attitude that all of our friends have about our like all of the music that we all make is very reassuring, but it doesn't always have a ton of like what is that it's just always kind of like, yeah, what does that translate to? And in the long run, I think the excitement from the people you care about is the more important thing. But you know, David Barbie once told me, he was like, you don't buy groceries with indie cred and cool points. Like that doesn't put food on the table. And so, you know, having like a label of people who feel like my friends and feel like people that, I mean, some of them I knew before I signed and some of them I kind of met afterwards, but just like people who have the kind of friend attitude and approach to my music, but have like the institutional kind of strength to be like, we're going to print vinyl and put it in front of people and market it, is just like a great, it's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling.
That's a very, I would imagine, a very positive experience, because I think the fear of signing with any label for somebody might be that they don't really care about the music at the end of the day, and they're seeing the dollar signs or what have you, and you're worried that you might get lost or shelved or things like that. But you have clearly this experience where they are fans first, right?
Oh, totally. No, and it's been nice too, because I work specifically with this man named George Fontaine Sr. He's kind of in charge of everything, and then this woman named Lee, who's like our good friend, and there's several other people, and one of the people that's kind of part of like larger New West. I remember one time he pulled me aside kind of early on in the process, and he was like, "How are you feeling about the label stuff? You can kind of, you know, you can use me as a sounding board." And I was like, "I feel good. Like, you know, I'm not sure. I never know like how people feel about what I'm doing." And he was just like, "Hey, you just need to know that it's the kind of deal where the people that work at this label are a little bit embarrassed to like tell you or anyone else that they are just like big fans and they just love it. And it's like, it can feel a little awkward in a work sense to be like gushing over something." And I think that's just what's fun, is it's like people that have put out music that I love and feel really passionately about, and have put out stuff by my friends and put out stuff by people that are like, you know, very cool and a big deal. And for them to be like equally excited about something I'm doing is just, it's nice. There's a little bit of there's a therapeutic letting go of the control a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's been nice, but it's definitely helped free up like focusing on the important stuff, you know?
Yeah. What have you gained like in focus, and what have you got to kind of shed some burden on to let the label take care of it?
I guess like setting up, just like having to think through promoting your own music when it's just you is just the weirdest thing in the world, because it's just like, it really feels like standing at the top of a quarry and like throwing a rock in the water, and it's like, I have no idea what's going to happen. And just kind of taking blind swings and hoping that everything happens naturally. And the unfortunate thing, it's not unfortunate, it's just a reality of the world, is that like we, to an extent, everybody is like marketed to and like has things sold to them. And so you can have all this beautiful stuff happen because you play shows, you connect with people, you keep up on Instagram, and that doesn't like, it's not better or worse than having like a marketing situation. It's just different to me. And having like access to people who are like, you don't have to worry about that, we're going to help do that part of it, has been really nice, because it's like, it just has freed me up to think a lot more about songs. And
right.
I have thought more consciously about playing live than I probably ever have, because it's like, oh, I have more time to like practice my guitar, mm-hmm. which is, you know, something that maybe at different points in my life, I felt paralyzed by like, I gotta post
right
1 million Instagram posts.
And get on the TikTok.
I mean, well,
we're still working on it.
I've actually done that a lot more since being on the label, but that's neither here nor there. That's just a fact of
the world we live in currently.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get better at that myself, but it can be.
It's all a tool,
Right. Yeah. Seeing how much it's helped Wim Tapley has been like, I mean, shout out to the guy.
It helps that he's a little. I feel like there's a window where it works, and I don't say this to be negative. I feel like you and I are just a smidge too old.
I know, dude. Yeah,
like we're a little bit too like.
It feels like it.
I'm not saying this to knock. You're a good looking guy, but we're not like 21-year-old style hot enough.
Sure. Yeah.
Anymore.
We kind of missed the train a little bit. I'll still keep it up, but at this point, now I'm just, what I like doing is just picking a random song I really like by a band and then learning it and playing it, and that's what I like.
Helps you practice. It helps you get, you sing a little bit a day. Honestly, it helps me sometimes because it's just like you spend 30 minutes just thinking about a song, and you play it, whether it's mine or a cover. And you watch a couple of the takes you do, and it's like, oh, I could do that better. It's like spending any amount of time every day or every other day or a couple of times a week, like forcing yourself to think about your performance is just like, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's all good.
It's like watching the tape back,
Exactly.
So let's get into the meat of this conversation. I want to talk about the new album. I've gotten to listen to it a few times over the last few days, and I really, really enjoy it. It is such a wide-ranging album. You have a lot of different vibes, genres, and just overall themes that you're delving throughout the whole album. Was it difficult to piece some of these together? Did you always feel like there was a cohesion to it? Did you have to intentionally go for that cohesion, or did it just feel like it fell into place?
I think I definitely feel like every time I start working on a record, like I think this is going to be the record that's really cohesive. Like this is going to be the one where every song kind of is of a piece. And then we get done with it and I'm like, none of it really sounds. But I think there were what always helps me is like I kind of look at genre as like it's just like another tool. Like I have things that I fall back on and are my instincts and songs that have similar sounds, but it's like I do generally kind of regard style as like, to me it's a tool. It's like a vehicle. I always really admire bands that have like a sound, but I can't do that.
Well, you have a very broad taste in music. I mean, we've talked about many different types of bands and musicians all over the spectrum.
Yeah, and I think at a certain point it's also just fun for me to kind of like commit to the bit where it's like, okay, I wrote a song that feels like this or feels like that, and it's just like, well, we might as well lean all the way in.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, for me, the things that where the cohesion comes into place is like lyrically, like thematically, kind of what I feel like it's speaking to in my own mind, and then also, I feel like it's just at the end of the day, it's like we only play with so many people, and it just sounds to me, it's just like it just sounds like us, like it just sounds like I'm playing that guitar part, it sounds like Gideon's playing those drums, it sounds like Tommy's playing that bass, and everything else is kind of flexible, but it's like, you know, that's what's going to bring it kind of some cohesion. And I feel like every time you make something, I try to add like a new element that's, I don't know, like this record I feel like was the first time that and this is sort of why I put the Steely Dan album on the table, is like this was the first time where I consciously was like, I want to have like easy listening tropes in this.
Yeah.
Because I think that kind of music is so interesting. And so, like,
Social Smoker.
Sure, yeah. Social Smoker and the first song, Second Chances, is very inspired by like this album in particular.
Even Hometown Vampire has this relaxed feel to it.
Oh, totally. I mean, that song, there was an arrangement that I never really explained it to anybody, but in my head, I was like, there's a way that you could play that song that was very like classical guitar and kind of like, kind of maracas and stuff like that. And I think it's better the way it is, but that kind of stuff is just something I've gotten into more in the past couple years or so. So I don't know. I feel like there's little like stylistic elements that are new that are kind of helping broaden the palette a little bit.
Yeah, I mean downtown living. Let's talk about, switching it up. Mm-hmm. That vibe is
totally
amazing. I heard you guys play that live first before.
Oh yeah.
Because you played it a few times live before you released the song, and I was just like waiting patiently for it to come out.
Totally.
It has this like preacher screaming from the altar.
Yeah.
About fire and brimstone.
Totally. It's
going on.
It's definitely that's a good way to put it. It's definitely like, street preacher.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole concept of the song is like about any sort of downtown area, but specifically like thinking about downtown Athens in its peak nights of like fervor and fury. And one of the main, one of the kind of like landmarks of that scene is guys shouting at you about hell and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't thinking it wasn't like, it's not really about that. It's more of just about kind of channeling that kind of weird style of direct address. And I don't know, I recently went and rewatched Stop Making Sense, the re-release at Cine. And that really, I mean, that's like really where that's a big part of that song is that movie and David Byrne in general, of just kind of like that sort of manic, I'm shouting at you punk sort of vibe. I don't know.
Did you listen to that Bandsplain episode? The Talking Heads? Of course
I did.
Yeah. That was the most information I ever took in about them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I like the Talking Heads, but they're one of those bands just like the Smiths that I want to be into.
Yeah.
The Talking Heads, I actually can really name a good few songs that I genuinely enjoy and will put on. Sure. But still yet putting on a whole Talking Heads album is not where I'm at right now.
It's tricky if it's not the mood. I don't know. For me it depends on kind of what sort of mood I'm in. But there's several songs that are just really gonna always be around for me. But yeah, I mean, that song specifically, I feel like I think I don't know. The story of that song is basically like I had COVID.
Right.
And I was briefly staying sequestered. Me and Gideon were in an apartment that was downtown, and it was like peak, kind of like early 2021, like really still, it was a hot zone, for getting COVID and stuff like that. And I felt very bitter because I had been really careful, and I was downtown.
It comes for us all.
Staying above all the bars where I could hear people just going buck wild. And I had not done any of that in so long. And I was like, dang it. Like, these people are, it was almost like a prodigal son. Like, why are good things happening to the people that are acting badly? And I feel like I did the right thing, and I just felt absolutely cooked, and I had a fever, and I watched Stop Making Sense, and I watched Thief by Michael Mann.
Did we talk about Thief, or did you talk about Thief with somebody?
I don't know. Maybe I talked about it with somebody. Maybe I posted about it on Instagram.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yes,
it
that
was.
movie.
Because I put it on my Letterboxd watch list because of that. And I was like,
it's so good.
Who was talking about this that made me put it in here? And that's what it was. Yeah.
No, yeah. I love that movie. It's
You can't find it anywhere though. Or I can't.
That makes sense. It was on I don't remember where it was streaming, but yeah, it's definitely. And I also watched a documentary series about kind of like history. It was like a very weird historical. Do you know that guy Adam Curtis? He makes these weird kind of
that sounds familiar.
Edited video. He takes footage from history and just narrates in this stern British voice.
Oh, I think I watched one where he was talking about Edward Bernays, who did basically invented PR, public relations.
That sounds Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. He did this one.
They just have him on YouTube, right?
Yeah. He did. I watched this one that was about. I don't even remember what it was about, but it was all paranoia and social history and of the last 100 years and all this kind of stuff. And I was just watching it eyes glazed open, like I was in A Clockwork Orange. And that was just. I just felt unglued a little bit, and I had my Jazzmaster but no amp, and so I was just playing unplugged electric guitar.
Whoa. Yeah.
And that was that.
Was it weird having, the song I know it's more than one chord, but it's predominantly one chord the whole time. And you have a lot of songs where the composition and the chord structures are, they flow a lot. Mm-hmm. Was it weird to just stay in that one vibe the whole time, or did it feel right?
Definitely. It definitely.
Did you want to? Oh, does it feel right?
Nice.
I did that on purpose.
I definitely kind of struggled with that at first. The initial demo that I made of myself playing it and singing it is a lot more melodic. It's me kind of trying to sing, and I was listening to the time I had COVID, I was listening to so much of the Smiths, and I was trying to kind of make it in this sort of croony Morrissey thing, downtown living, and I just couldn't figure out how to make it work, and I was like, this sucks. If I sing it, I just think I have to bark a little bit.
There's an alternate reality where you sang it like Morrissey.
I think in that alternate world, the song would have just never made it past that. It would have never been introduced at all.
Yeah. That's awesome. Definitely the barking and the squealing of the vocals really helps. Yeah. And the saxophone, dude. Where did that idea come from? Because that sax, when that hits, I was driving back here from work listening to it, and I'm like, yeah, this is the one. This is the song I'm waiting for on the album.
It's the sax, I think, was primarily just, I don't know, there's a lot of punk songs and post-punk music that has really interesting use of saxophone. I feel that song Dumb Surfer by King Cruel.
Oh yeah, whoa, nice reference.
Or a lot of, I don't know, even there was a band that I don't know if you ever got into them. That band Grand Vapids. It used to be in Athens. They're still kind of around.
McKendrick
yeah, he was in that band in Austin, and they're just a really cool. They were just a really cool 2-singer post-punk band, and they had a song on one of their records that I don't exactly know who it is that plays the saxophone part, so I don't want to get it wrong. But it's just this terrifying, cool sax part. And I just think that saxophone works really well in the dry post-punk kind of vibe. And I don't know, I had seen Gideon, my brother, for anyone listening who doesn't know that, my brother Gideon plays drums in my band and in a bunch of bands, and he plays in this band called Canary Affair sometimes that our friend Patrick plays in, and Jordy and Miller and all them, and I had seen them a few times, and it's kind of interesting fusion-y jazz stuff. And then Miller, the sax player, just was doing stuff that I was like, this really feels a little bit more pushing the boundaries than what I would than is even necessary for the sax player of this kind of a band. And And so I was like, I need to get him like skronking.
So it was Miller.
It's Miller that plays
Nice.
that part,
Yeah,
and the sax solo at the end of the album.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Yep.
there's another one. Yeah.
He's got a lot of range. He did that all in like 30 minutes.
Of course.
It's great.
Sax players are a different breed. Every sax player I've met has
they're wild.
They have no problem playing what you want them to play, and they'll do it so quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really impressive.
Yeah.
I love that Folly Beach is also right after Downtown Living. It's like such a banger, and then suddenly we're in. It reminds me of like Jay Som.
Whoa.
You know,
interesting.
The way those guitars sound.
It's very
like chorusy, shoegazy guitar.
Yeah, it's actually the flip. That's like end of side A on the vinyl is Downtown Living, and Folly Beach is flip over to side B. So it's definitely on purpose.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it is such a different vibe, but it works. It works hearing both together. They're very complementary. What is the arpeggio little sound going on in the second quote unquote verse? You're not singing at all. I remember.
Oh, in Folly Beach, during the guitar solo.
Like, what is this thing?
We basically just Tommy and I took the Juno synthesizer, and we set it to the arpeggiate function. And the great thing about that song is it literally has one chord for most of the song.
Oh,
like actually, truly has like. There's one part where the chords change, and other than that, it's basically one chord. And for that solo spot, we just like hit that chord on the arpeggiator, and it was like going you know. And then there was some sort of thing on that. What is that thing? The H3000.
Oh yeah, Tommy's baby.
And it's like you press it, and it would make whatever sound is happening like pitch shift down or up at random.
Oh.
And he would like hit it kind of like in rhythm and in time, and it would basically just start sounding like it was speeding up or slowing down. And we sat there and did that for like half an hour probably.
That's awesome. I remember listening to it the first time and being like, where are the vocals? Where's the verse?
Yep.
And then the second time I heard it, I was listening on AirPods, and I was like, oh, there's this. It's like the verse for this thing.
Yeah, it's like there's a guitar. There's like a kind of a faint guitar solo happening, and there's also a faint. Or it's not really a solo. It's just kind of like another part, and you also, I think, can faintly hear me counting the measures.
That's what it is. Yeah, I could hear your voice doing something.
When we did it in the studio, just the three of us doing the basic track, I'm like count, because there was a weird like count for it, and we kind of kept getting lost. And so when we would start the one, I just started saying, and you hear me say like 15, 16, and it's like
that's what it is.
You know? Yeah.
Speaking of things you can't quite hear, what are you? What are you like preaching during that quiet moment of Downtown Living? Because it almost reminds me of, that song "Paradise" by the Dashboard Lights.
No.
By Meatloaf.
No,
I feel like
I don't know
heard
that song.
No,
I'm not a expert on Meatloaf.
Neither am I, but my parents are, and
okay.
I know that song. That's like the only one I really know well.
Yeah.
But there's like a whole section where all of a sudden the song stops, and then it's like a baseball announcer announcing like the guy making running all the way home.
That's really strange, because I start talking about baseball in the
there you go
in the monologue. There's two of them. One of them is in one ear, and I start talking about baseball, and it was like we were recording vocals, and Gracie was coming over to lay down the organ part, and I saw her car turn in, and me and Tommy had been like, oh, I'll just like shout or say something funny for that section just to kind of give it this weird energy. And I saw her turning in, and I just started saying like, there's Gracie in the white car. She's turning in. She's going to round first base. And I just started shouting about baseball as if she was both running the bases but driving her car at the same time.
Right.
And then in the other one, I'm doing some weird voice, and I'm saying stuff like, do you ever like come home and feel like you're you don't, like you feel like you just worked all day and nothing matters, and like you don't know why you're doing it, like just kind of like existential.
Very David Byrne hours.
Sort of, yeah, sort of like if David Byrne was in Fight Club or something.
Yeah. So is this the second full album you've worked on with Tommy?
It's the third one.
The third one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we're 3 in, how do you feel like y'all's relationship on a working level has evolved over the course of 3 albums?
I think I don't know. I think we've definitely both gotten better and like grown at what we do. Not that I would not say that either of us were ever like slouches at anything, but I don't know. I think we work faster. Like this album felt a lot more like I was kind of just like, let's do this, and he's like, okay, takes the ball and just really runs with it, and vice versa. And I don't know. I feel like I come in with a pretty clear picture in my mind of where we're going for the most part, and on the times when I don't, he's really good at being like, that doesn't work, we need to do something else. And it's a great, I think that's really kind of the balance that has been nice, is like sometimes I just have the song and I don't have much of an idea past this is the song on the guitar, and sometimes it's like I have everything, I just need you to help me execute it and make it better than what I thought it was going to be. And I think it works really well, and I've just gotten so used to like his sound and stuff like that, and I think it really is helpful for me, because I never thought I would ever hear recordings of myself where I sounded like clean, polished, and poppy and stuff like that, because in my mind when I was younger, I was like, I'm just going to sound like Elliott Smith for the rest of my life. I'm going to sound like Elliott Smith but bad.
Right.
Forever. And that doesn't happen anymore, and it's a cool change, It's different, but it's good.
Was there a catalyst for that change, on like something you did on purpose, or did it just gradually happen, you think?
I think that no, I don't think it was super conscious. I think it was just like the people that I wanted to work with made music that was really high def, and I was kind of like, okay. Like, I think people think of like sometimes using vintage or vibey or like unprofessional looking tools or the aesthetic of like lo-fi music, lo-fi videos, like film, like bad kind of expired looking film photography, or like now people are really back into the like 2006 digital cameras that look sweaty and weird. And it's like sometimes people think that the medium or the aesthetic or the like the kind of the gauze and the filter on the photo or the song or whatever is kind of like what is important, and I don't really think that that's important. Like the songs that I'm putting out now, if I put them out sounding, if we did them with like in $1 million studio with like any of those guys that Tommy watches their YouTube videos about how to mix pop songs, like if we did it with any of them, I would feel like, yeah, it's still like that song. Or if I just did it on my own in my room, I would still feel like that's that song on the song level. But on the recording level, it's like I did this with my friends in the environment that felt good and comfortable. So that's like the important part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it hits different when you're actually doing it with people that you're friends with, you're close with, who, especially someone like Tommy, who you've worked with for 3 albums now.
Sure.
You guys know, I'm sure, on almost like a metaphysical plane, what you want before you even have to speak it into existence. It's like you just know what you guys like and what you're into and where you're going to take this ride.
Yeah. And I definitely feel like I want to sound like the things that I want to me feel like ambitious but attainable, if that makes sense. Like I know where I'm going. I just don't totally know how to get there. And sometimes I wish that I made music that had less of a roadmap. You know what I mean? Like there are times where I'm just like, man, maybe it'd be more interesting if I didn't have such a grip on like feeling like I know what I want. But we'll get there.
Yeah,
it's a lifelong process, baby.
That's interesting because I'm sure there's plenty of people who are the opposite, that wish that they had way more of a plan and an idea and a solid vision for a song. Or
sometimes your plan is wrong, though.
That's true. That's true.
Like I had an idea for one of the songs on the record that I was like committed, like this will be the solo acoustic song. It will be a spare, stark folk song. And everybody was like, no, dude.
Which one was it?
I Remember Everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I wrote it just like a guitar, and I was like, it's going to just be me and the guitar. And everybody was like, no.
Did you feel that way about 8 a.m.?
Yeah. But that one, I think the piano, it makes it more engaging than if it was just me, like strummy, strum.
It is the only song that has predominantly piano, right?
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Gracie nailed it.
Oh, she played piano on that?
Yeah. I gave her the chord chart because I was just playing on the guitar, and I was like, kind of do like an arpeggio, like kind of just like hummed something, and she's like, yeah, totally. Then like half an hour, she's like, all right, I'm done.
Got it. That's the best. Having people that can just crush it with like little to no instruction.
Seriously.
Do you have a song that really sticks out to you currently that is a favorite?
On the album? Okay. Sorry, I couldn't remember what we were... Yeah. The last song I really like a lot, Nobody Ever Feels This Way, I think is something that feels really different. The first and the last song, Second Chances and Nobody Ever Feels This Way, I think are both like, of the songs that weren't singles, like really mean a lot to me. Just because they feel so different in such a fun way. 8 a.m. I think is maybe one of the more like emotionally meaningful songs that I've made, in my opinion. But
it kind of reminds me of like a Rufus Wainwright.
That's
song.
the same. Yeah, that's the same thing Drew told me. He was really sold on that.
Introduced me to him.
I definitely see it. I had literally never heard anything by that guy when I wrote that song, but it's very...
Oh, wow.
For me, it's a lot more like Leonard Cohen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or like True Love Waits, the Radiohead song.
Oh man, don't get me started. That's my band.
I know, it's also the saddest song of all time.
For sure. I think it was voted by Radiohead fans as the most depressing Radiohead song.
It's brutal. It's so good though.
It is.
But that kind of circular piano is kind of, that was sort of what we were going for. That and like the Leonard Cohen classical guitar and the.
Yeah. I love Fifth Beatle. I love the nice, the reference as well.
Oh yeah.
How take me through like the conception of that one. Where did that start?
That one was really simple. It was just kind of like probably one of the fastest, like, just like wrote it and was like, this is such a song that like, it's like making a good burger. It's like, if you do too much to it, it just feels weird. And I was kind of like, we just need to make this, like, it's a song that has a joke in it about the Beatles. Like, there's only one way this song can sound, Yeah. I mean? It has to sound like, if not a Beatles song, like a Big Star song or a Lemonhead song or something like that, kind of like, it just has to sound like power pop,
Yeah.
Bright and shiny and 12-string guitars and pianos and,
Do you have the cello in there? What's oh man, maybe I'm just like imagining it. It almost sounded like towards the end, these strings come in as if it's like what's that song?
That like dun dun dun.
Like
dun,
an Eleanor
dun,
Rigby, like dun, dun, dun,
oh
dun,
yeah,
dun.
it's just electric guitar and bass kind of playing like a strange tone, but yeah, no.
Huh. It might have been like a
no
Pavlov's strings.
There's no strings on the whole album. Like in terms of orchestral strings, nothing like that on there.
Gotcha. This is a little out of left field, but for whatever reason, I just thought about it. And it's about your last album, and the last song.
Yeah.
Remind me of the name?
On a Good Day.
On a Good Day, yes. The outro for that is beautiful, and I don't think we ever talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, where did that idea to have this really extended, I don't know what you would call it, just like this adventure, this sonic, like, it's almost like the plane is landing.
Sure.
Slowly.
I know we talked about this band a lot the last time I was on here, but there's an Animal Collective song called Turn Into Something that's at the end of their album Feels.
Okay.
And the drums fade out and the chord, like the one chord of the song, just keeps playing. And then everything else fades around them other than just like this keyboard, like ambient guitar drone on a chord. And I just was like, I want to do that. Was kind of just like, I just want to land on the chord and stay there for a little while.
Gotcha. It reminded me of Reservations by Wilco.
Oh, totally, yeah.
The way that kind of fades out.
And there's a couple moments I think the ending of Folly Beach especially, I just love like a song every now and again. Not every song, but I love when a song can pull off like crashing out end of the song and just kind of hang out on a chord and let the sound kind of just let people wash in it for a second, not for like 10 minutes, but just a little bit every now and then is really fun.
I've really loved the concept of, have you seen the Wilco documentary?
No, I need to check that out.
Dude, you would, I think, really enjoy it. I bought it on Vimeo, so if you ever want to just use the username and password, you can watch it. I've seen it like 5 or 6 times. But there's a moment in it where...
If anyone from Vimeo sees this, that was a joke.
Yeah, we're joking.
Parody.
Parody law. But there's a moment in it where Jeff is playing a solo show and he's doing like this meet and greet thing after. Sure. And I guess he's playing songs from Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, but it hasn't come out yet. And some people are asking him like, oh, what's it like? Is it like Summer Teeth or is it more like AM? He's like, it's not really like either of those. There's like there's songs, but then there's like holes within the songs. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's such an interesting way of putting it. And now, like, ever since I watched that, it's really inspired me to try to find ways to let a song kind of just break down for a moment.
Totally.
And it's almost like I can't really quite describe it, but it's like you're entering this new undercurrent of the song that you didn't realize was there, and then you come back.
It's like you're in Clue and you take the trap door to the billiard room or whatever. You know?
It's the same house, but it's like a whole new area you didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting way to like think about songwriting, I think. But also, I've always felt like your lyrics are very, like, they clearly mean something to you.
Sure.
Do you have lyricists that you really look up to, or just people you think really like do a great job with their lyrics?
I think that something. Yes, the short answer is yes, and I will name some of them. But it's always hard for me because I think that writing songs is the thing that I think the most and care the most about in the creative process. Like the sound, the production, the live, like all that stuff is like very important. I love it. But I don't think or care as much about any of it as I do about like just writing a song. And I have like no way of explaining what I like in lyrics, or when like it's truly. Do you know the story about like when they tried to create law? This is gonna sound really weird and like a weird tangent. Do you do you know the story about like when they tried to create laws around in the 70s, or maybe it's earlier than that, the censorship of like pornography in America?
No, I don't think so.
Basically, the legal definition for like what is pornographic is you know it when you see it.
Oh, I have heard that.
It's like you just know what something is when you look at it. And to me, it's like I hear a song and like the lyrics, I'm like I like that, and it's hard. That's my spiel.
Yeah.
To say that I really like. I feel like a big one for me is Stephen Malkmus.
Ooh, yes. Which is interesting because some of the Pavement songs are like, what the fuck?
Exactly. No, totally. And some of them feel like absolutely meaningless. And then it's like he sings about himself and the way that he interacts with people around him in such a like mysterious kind of way. And he's so vague and he's so cryptic and he's like so funny and just trying to like get a rise out of people. And then he'll like do a song like Gold Sounds that's just like is still like vague and elliptical, but is so like is like telling someone like I care about you, but like I care about you so much that it scares me, and that means I'm gonna run away from you. Like it's just like, which is such a real sentiment, and to kind of drop that in the middle of like albums full of like, making fun of the Smashing Pumpkins and like Heaven is a Truck,
cut your hair.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like stuff like that, So I always love him and how he's always very willing to be really funny and really just silly.
Have you listened to many of his solo albums?
I've heard the first one, and there was a Jix album a few years ago that had that song "Bleed America." No, not "Bleed American." That's Jimmy World. There's some song with the word "America" in it from a Jix album that came out like probably 6 years ago or something.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And I don't love all the solo stuff, but it's definitely there's always something there. There's always a gem in there.
Have you listened to Traditional Techniques?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You're not how do you feel about that?
I'm not.
one?
I liked it when I heard it, and
Okay.
I didn't totally feel the need to go back to it. But I dig, the idea. I think Matt Sweeney plays on that.
Who's that?
He, that show Guitar Moves on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
He plays with like Guided by Voices and stuff like that. He's like an old indie rock guy,
Yeah, he's cool. Those videos are pretty sweet. I don't know, man. That album, like, I loved that. I love every song on that album, and I can't say the same about any Pavement album.
Hey, that's fair. I need to check it out again. I think Pavement was just one of those bands that was there for me when I needed them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really funny to be like, to have them be a band that you're emotional about, because it's like
this is the most like unemotional.
Yeah. And then I was about to say the flip side of like artists whose lyrics mean a lot to me is like I love Sufjan Stevens.
Okay, yeah.
And he is
somebody
like
I really want to get into.
deeply, deeply, deeply emotional, lyrically speaking. Like that's his whole thing is like how upfront and kind of brutally honest he is in his lyrics, sometimes to an extent that is a little uncomfortable. But even then, like even when it's uncomfortable, it's like finding something pretty in a tragic moment or in a tragic situation, or even in like a situation that's fun. Like he's so good at like sprinkling in details that are funny and sad and resonant, and like I don't know. He's definitely one of those people that really just like directs a movie and like paints a picture in your mind with his words, which I don't always love when songwriters are like super like, I'm going to tell you a story because that's what it means to be real,
Right.
Like I don't need that all the time, but when it's done well, it's great.
And Sufjan's the guy.
He's so good. You're not a Sufjan guy?
Not by choice, really.
Sure.
I've listened to all of Come On Feel the Illinois.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like some of the songs are cool. It's really long.
Totally.
The whole album.
Totally.
The closest I got to being like, oh, this is really cool, let me get into this, was whatever album he did with somebody else with like the mermaid on the cover.
Oh, Angelo D'Augustine.
Yeah. And I
that's
listened to
that's a
like,
good album.
I didn't even listen to the whole thing. I only heard the singles
It's
when
cool.
they came out, and I was like, this is really beautifully done.
I think you should give a spin to Carrie and Lowell, the folk, the really, really somber but also very beautiful folk record from I think 2015.
Mm-hmm.
That's all about like him growing up, and it kind of strips away a lot of the like the bells and whistles of his long albums, and it's like 40 minutes, 12 songs. Every single one of them is like a total gut punch that has like the most beautiful high-strung acoustic guitar playing, and it's really good.
Yeah, I've definitely seen people praise that one the most.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit like predictable to say that that's the best one, but it's predictable because it's the best one.
Right.
I think, you know,
it just is what it is. And speaking of like, great lyricists, but an interesting one that you said you wanted to talk about because you saw the Actual Air book that I have of the
David
poetry
Berman.
book of
Yeah,
David
man.
Berman, from Silver Jews and
Purple Mountains. Yeah.
How did you hear about him? Because for me, I learned about him, like who he was at all, like a month before he died.
My understanding of David Berman was very, like, I knew I had heard the Silver Jews. I think when I got really into Pavement, because they were kind of associated,
right.
And Stephen Malkmus played a lot on some of his records, I listened to American Water, because it was like, it's just like another part of the Pavement lore when I got really into them. And I was like, I think I was just kind of like, I do not get this at all. Like this guy that has this dry, deep, talking, singing voice. But, and then I never really thought much of it. And then I remember when the Purple Mountains record came out, I was like, oh, it's great. This guy is like back. And I was like, I don't really know much about him. And then he died. And so many people that I knew and kind of respected what they thought about music were like, yeah, he's the best. And I was like, really? And I listened to that Purple Mountains album, and it just kind of like blew it all wide open for me. Because I think I'm a little bit. I know we're both
coughing a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine. I think that I'm still a little bit like lizard brained, and that like I don't need, but I respond just naturally a little bit more to stuff that's like a little louder, a little bit catchier, a little bit more like shaped. And on that level, the Purple Mountains record was so much easier to get into because it just sounds really good and it's like banging and hooky. But also like it is really interesting, like those songs are just like actually some of the best songs that he ever wrote.
Crazy.
Of like just direct, like I remember
Margaritas in the Mall.
I was just about to bring that one up. I have a friend that I showed that to, and he like it kind of like ruined his life a little bit. Like when not in a real way, but like I'll see him, and I like every time I see him, at some point in us hanging out, he'll look at me and go, "How long can the world go on under such a subtle God?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, man, yeah, that's true." And it's like. I think it's also interesting for me as someone, because his perspective is so interesting, because he's someone that like part of what really shaped his thing was, his whole thing with his father.
Right.
That his father,
his father.
If you're listening at home, and you like the music of David Berman, or if you don't know anything about David Berman, Silver Jews, Purple Mountains, great bands. He was the singer, the songwriter. His father was somebody who made a lot of money off of like maybe oil, or
he made a lot of money he had this company that was like, I don't think it was a PR company, or it might have been, but people would like huge corporations that were doing not very legal things or practices would hire him.
Yeah, like damage control.
Sure. Yeah.
So he was like a crisis PR person for like bad people, and David Berman just felt very guilty because he was like, my father made a gazillion dollars off of like defending people that are wrong. His whole thing was that for a long time he thought he could never atone for like all the bad that his father had caused. And he, you know, as someone like, you know, David Berman was culturally Jewish, and then he got very into the Jewish faith towards the end of his life. In the last, like, there's like a documentary about him in like 2007, I think, like getting really into his faith. And as someone who, because of like growing up in the Christian church, like growing up knowing a lot about the Old Testament, and like hearing the way he talked about like God and his father, and like feeling like he has to like atone for the sin that his father did in the world. It was just very like, I was like, that is an angle and like a feeling for a songwriter that is so different and so unique, and adds like such a weight to everything. And then to have all of his songs be sort of like arriving at this destination where he kind of declares like, I think a lot of life is like pointless and silly and like frightening, is it's just like really heart-wrenching stuff, but it's also very beautiful, and I think has interesting things to say about it all. You know?
Very interesting perspective on life.
Yeah.
I remember during that deep dive was like hearing about how he like tried to take his own life after Al Gore lost the election.
It was he tried to do it. Breakdown. He tried to do it in the hotel where they gave the approval.
Oh, that's what it was.
To give the 2000 election to George Bush, because he said he wanted to die where democracy died.
That's right. Yeah. In true poetic fashion.
He was very poetic, a little dramatic, but I mean, I'm not knocking the guy. I'm not speaking ill of the dead. It's just it's dramatic in the classic sense of the word drama.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like romantic, you know,
sure,
romanticist.
Totally.
Shout out to David Berman. He rules. Now I want to go listen to American Water again. That album's great. But man, we're approaching an hour. So you want to take this over to the last 5?
Dude, totally.
I feel like it flew by so quick.
Yeah.
But did we do this last time we were here with the little bucket?
No, I was pre-bowl.
Pre-bowl. Yeah. So now I'm not just necessarily
You're just
spilling all my papers everywhere. Last time you were on, I actually had questions written down for you, which is what I did for a long time. But now the bowl asks you the questions.
Okay. This is like Gideon and his magic 8-ball. Do you know about his magic 8-ball?
I don't think I do.
He has a magic 8-ball that he consults.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 1. 2 artists you want to see collab. 2 artists that I would like to see collaborate. That's a great question.
You can also, I'm
Okay.
thinking about adding an addendum to this.
Okay.
It could be an artist-producer relationship. Either one.
Totally. Oh man, this is hard.
It's a tough one on the spot.
Yeah, I think in a weird. I don't know. Oh Lord, this is great. This is great podcasting right here. Me just struggling to think of an answer. Maybe this is going to sound really weird, but selfishly, there's like a little piece of me, and I know that they do stuff together sometimes still. There's like a little piece of me that would love, like, because, you know, Ringo does like the all-star band thing, and Paul still tours every now and again. I think it'd be really cool if they just did like something together. Yeah.
I don't think they haven't done one thing together.
They don't really. I mean, they still chop it up, but they don't musically like really cross paths a ton. If I'm wrong, don't get mad at me, please.
Just send us the link of whatever.
Just send me the link. I swear. I don't know. There's like a little part of me that just wishes, like, come on. And it's not because they don't like each other. It honestly might be because they like each other so much that they're like, this isn't really productive. I don't know.
Yeah. And they've already written countless
gazillion songs
together.
They also seem, the two of them seem like they have the dynamic, and I could also be wrong, where it's like You know how everybody, like every friend group, like there's always like two people that are the most like far away from each other in the friend circle or in the family or whatever.
Right.
They seem like those two.
Yeah.
In my opinion, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
I
they
wasn't
are
there.
both goofy.
That's true. It would honestly, it might be a little too silly.
God, yeah. Maybe we don't want that. I don't know. But no, I don't know. I mean, who wouldn't want to hear that?
That'd be nice. It's like those memes you always see on like Boomer Facebook where it's like, the Rolling Stones don't have a drummer or a bass player anymore, and the Beatles only have a bass player and a drummer. And it's like a photoshopped photo of Keith Richards, Mick Jagger, Paul and Ringo, and it's really stupid. In the studio or playing live? ? Playing live.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah,
it is.
I like being in the studio, but it's like yeah, it's just I like playing live a lot. It really energizes me and makes me feel like I did something, and feels like I don't know. It just feels nice to connect with people on that level because it's just very emotionally rewarding in a way that recording music is emotionally rewarding in the moment, but then it is later, and it's kind of like all in stages. Whereas like playing a good show is just like, yes, I did something right now that felt great.
True. Yeah, that immediate gratification. Whereas in the studio, you're like, there's these peaks and valleys of satisfaction.
Totally. You know, you never know. But, okay.
Let's check question number 3.
Question number 3. Best album covers. I should have more of a thought about this immediately because I do think about this kind of stuff. I think that I'm going to kind of expand this, if that's okay,
sure.
My answer. I feel like the album covers that I gravitate to the most and the ones that I respond to the best are ones that are a little bit like a little obvious. Like where it's like artist name, album name, photo of the band or the person, bang. Like, you know, it's just like,
that's it.
I don't know. It's just like I really like this. I think good album covers, I think it's just like, it's not about, there's no objective quality that's like, if it hits this mark, it's good. But like this Steely Dan album, Can't Buy a Thrill, for the listeners at home that can't see it. If you're watching, this is the incentive to watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, go watch on YouTube.
There's like these big lips, and there's all these crazy colors, and there's a shirtless guy. And
there's like 6 women.
There's 6
on
ladies.
Street.
There's a bunch of lights. There's what seems like a shirtless man cradling a naked woman. You can't see anything too revealing, but it's like it's communicating a lot of what's in this album, which is like sleazy and kind of greasy, and you know, like lights, camera, shimmer, action. You know,
right.
Steely Dan,
downtown living.
I mean, a little bit. You can't buy a thrill, man. Which also very funny when I found out that is a Bob Dylan lyric.
Oh, is it?
Can't buy a thrill. Yeah,
I had no idea.
It's a great song. Do you
have an example of like a great album cover where it's the name of the album, and the person? Like, I guess any Bob Dylan album.
Like every Bob Dylan album.
Right.
Yeah. I guess.
I think the Ram album by Paul McCartney is really sick. So good. The
kind of child like drawing and the art of it. I think
the Talking Heads Remain in Light album is really cool.
Pretty epic album cover. I like I can't remember the name of it. There's like that one Bon Jovi album cover that has like it's like written in the shower.
Slippery
When Wet. Yeah. No, I like that one.
That's so
Shout
funny.
out Bon Jovi.
Yeah, the
best. You see that and you know what you're getting into. It's so cool. It it always sticks in my mind.
So you love an album cover that really matches the vibe of what?
Yeah. If it feels like it's not if it feels like it's really adding to like
right.
the mystique or the image or the feeling of the record, I feel like that's a successful album cover. That's why every Morrissey album cover is successful, because it's all just a photo of him trying to look as pretty as possible, and that's basically the message of his music, is like, I'm pretty and sad.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like,
every Smiths album cover is really sick.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Queen is Dead is a great cover, you know?
Yeah.
So,
oh, Morrissey. What a guy.
famously a super nice person.
Oh.
No, he's not.
Oh, damn. I was like, is he actually?
No. Don't Google literally anything he said in the past 20 years. It's all horrifying.
I was like, I know he said some pretty heinous shit.
Yeah.
All right, number 4.
Dream 3-band bill. Oh, Lord.
That you want to go see.
That I want to go
specific.
see. That's perfect. That's better.
Mm-hmm. And let's just do people that are alive and around.
That's great. That is very.
Let's narrow it.
I kind of figured, but that makes it helpful.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd be like the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, fucking whatever.
Sure, totally. Mozart. I'd love to see Mozart, Bach, and Claude Debussy all in concert together. No, I think I would like to see. Who did I see recently that really blew my mind? You know what? Honestly, I will say, currently Steely Dan and the Eagles are touring together.
Really?
Yeah, and they famously didn't get along back in their heydays in the 70s. So maybe like if you added on like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of who like a punk band before Steely Dan and the Eagles. Henry Rollins gets up there and does spoken word. No, oh, this is so hard, Parker.
I know. They're all a little tough.
They are a little tricky.
I'm trying to think of a punk adjacent band that could be good opening up for Steely Dan.
I don't know.
The Eagles.
I don't know. I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pass.
We'll just do 2 because they're big enough for 3.
What do you mean?
Just 2 Steely Dan and the Eagles.
And the Eagles, yeah.
They're big enough for. You don't need a third act.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna take a 5th question, and then I'm gonna get a 6th because I'm just gonna break the rules.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Yeah.
First for everything.
Unexpected musical influence. That is, I don't know. I guess the smooth music, I don't know that it always comes up, but I do love like easy listening music. I jokingly mentioned him earlier, but I think I weirdly think that like Debussy and like old piano music really made me think a lot about like the guitar, because it's just like, I feel like I heard that kind of music and it was the first music that ever made me want to play like anything that felt kind of like liquid.
Oh,
like, wow. I feel like the way I play guitar and think about guitar and bass is very like Lego bricks, like doom, 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 doom,
sure.
doom, doom, you know, kind of like, it's very like beat by beat. And I don't know, like I feel like old like classical music and like Debussy piano pieces in general, like there's this one called Arabesque No. 1, and I love that one. And I feel like hearing that for the first time, I was like, oh, I guess you can like compose music that has the same effect as like sound effects, where it's like creating like a liquid sort of like image in your mind, rather than just like, this is the melody that I'm playing, you know, because it's like he's doing all these crazy things, like shifting speeds in his hands and kind of going up and down at the same time, and it's just like, it's really gorgeous stuff.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I have not gotten to that place myself of being able to break out of that sort of brick by brick way of writing a song.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't do it very often, but it's nice. But it was like helpful to, especially like just playing,
right?
Like a little smoothness is nice.
Yeah, and I feel like just learning those songs kind of helps you figure out how to approach that.
Sure.
You know.
No, totally.
All right, 6th question of the last 5.
Broke the rule. Fantasy supergroup and we will say they're all alive.
Yep.
Okay.
This is about as tough as the 3-band bill one.
Yeah, I think the real answer would be, maybe like, because we've been talking a lot about the Talking Heads. You know, David Byrne will play his songs solo, and they don't really hit the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chris Franz or Jerry Harrison will like team up with different like jam bands to play Talking Heads songs, and that always sucks. So I feel like if the three people from the Talking Heads, specifically Tina Weymouth and Chris Franz, who don't like David Byrne because that's why they would never reunite, is they hate each other. If they would play those songs with like somebody, it's like when Journey started playing with that guy, like when Steve Perry died, and that guy just like tried out, and he's like 35 years old.
Right.
And
I got to see them twice.
That's so sick.
Yeah, with that guy. It was crazy.
He's so good.
He's sounds just like Steve Perry.
I feel like if you do that right, it can be so cool. If you do it wrong, it's bad. And there's like a middle ground where like, you know, you have like what was it, like Adam Lambert doing Queen songs, which is, he's good at it.
He's great. It
feels a little karaoke-ish, but I don't know. I feel like having the people from Talking Heads playing with someone who's not irritating like David Byrne is nowadays, and I love David Byrne, but nowadays he's really annoying.
Sorry for the train, everyone. We're almost done.
Choo. I feel like that could be really cool, like a current, I don't know, someone like Andrew Savage, like the singer of Parquet Courts, like someone like that who can kind of nail the spirit.
Yeah,
you know,
dude. Parquet Courts also great band.
It's a great band.
That would be a great. Yeah, he would fit in really well doing those songs. Now that you say that, the influence is hitting me.
I need like a multi-generational, like angular punk kind of,
like a Gang of Four
super group. Yeah.
That would be sweet.
Yeah, that's what we need.
So is the answer Talking Heads, but with
what's
his name?
Either that or it's you, me, Richie Sambora, and
obviously.
You know, as long as Richie's there,
it's just a trio.
Yeah, we're all playing acoustic guitars
for sure. That sounds great to me.
Dude, I hate it when those old classic rock bands do those like only acoustic shows.
It's rough,
and it's like Richie Sambora shredding the acoustic guitar. I have really got off track right now.
That's okay. I think it's a great time to bring it back to Hometown Vampire, which is out as you listen to this podcast. Go check it out via Strolling Bones Records here in Athens, Georgia. Elijah Johnston, thank you again for coming on the pod.
Vinyl, CDs, all that jazz.
Go get yourself some merch. Everybody, tour. Yep. You got any dates coming up right now?
Whole bunch.
Okay, you want to plug any?
Yes. October the 15th in Queens, New York at Bar Frida. October the 18th in Philadelphia at Century Bar. The 19th of October in Richmond, Virginia at the Get Tight Lounge. The 25th of October in New Orleans at the Bank Street Bar. 26th in Jackson, Mississippi at Howlin' Mouse. November 9th in Birmingham at Avondale Upstairs. November 11th at Jarfly Restaurant and Bar in Columbus, Georgia. And the 12th in Chattanooga, Tennessee, I think. I'll just say that.
Wow, that was impressive. You rattled off those so fast.
All I've been doing is thinking about them constantly.
So go see him, guys. Go see him.
Because I have to get these thoughts out of my brain. I have to never think about these shows again because I've looked at that poster for hours and hours and hours.
Well, hell yeah, dude. Everybody go check him out. Buy the merch. See the show.
Let's make it happen. We're number one, baby.
All right, Elijah Johnston, Hometown Vampire. See you later. Thank you again for tuning into the newest episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. Remember, not only can you listen to the episodes on Apple Podcast and Spotify, but you can also watch the episodes on my YouTube channel, which is linked in the description below. And on that note, I'll see you guys next time.
A cheap date, a cherry